And here I am back once again. This time I'd like to follow on from the previous tutorial where we looked at using the rotation pivot points, and now I'm going to focus my attention further down to scale anchor. To help explain things, I'm going to switch on this background which has some lines on it. In particular, we're going to look at this corner angle here. For example, when you would have lower third, it might be positioned down here. I'll switch on the text. By default, it's centered. Now, if I started to scale this with the master scale, you'll see that the text expands outwards from the center. If you look at the top left of the D, you can see it moves quite a lot when you do this. Let's say I had the text ready for a lower third down here. And when I eventually looked at my lower third, I might decide I wanted it a little smaller or a little larger, but I wanted to keep this position in this corner. As it is now, you can see it moves away from the corner as it expands or shrinks. So let's say the scale anchor is maybe the answer. Let's put the scale anchor over on the left and at the top. What happens now when we scale? Well, it's a little better. It's not expanding out in all directions. But there's a gap appearing. Do you remember in the previous tutorial where I pointed out that there was a gap between the outline of the text box and the actual text? So what we are scaling here is the text box, and that little gap is getting larger as we scale. Now, you might think if you went to independent and you try and move these around, you might be able to solve the problem. I'll let you go ahead and try that for yourself, and once you find out that that doesn't solve the problem, then you can come back and I'll show you how to do it. Here's how to do it. Change lock to position to lock to rotation pivot. Here is the rotation pivot. So let's put the rotation pivot as left top. Does that help? Let's check. No, it didn't. So instead of having lock to position here, change this to independent, drag the interactors or use the scroll wheel to position the X there and the Y up a bit. So now I have rotation pivot set as independent, and I have aligned it with the top left corner of the D, and the scale anchor is now locked to the rotation pivot. Let's try resizing now. There we are. And that's how you do it. And that is the end of this tutorial. I hope you learned something new from this. Bye for now.